gather around so I can show you how to do this, and the best is to do it by showing rather than you doing. Why is the best to do by showing instead of you doing?
So is it
What do you think is the advantage?
to show the pose?
To show the pose with somebody as a teacher as opposed to
Because
you
I can
showing it
correct
with
them
yourself.
if they do
Okay, you
something
can-
wrong, or I can
You can point out, yeah.
Point out. I think so. I agree. I agree. And
Yeah.
you know, sometimes Helen shows the pose.
Yeah.
But most of the time, Helen, I'm giving Helen an example because she was your teacher, but most of the time she gives them, shows how
Yeah.
to do it. Yeah. So especially on this one. So, okay, so then, breath, you very nice connections. The yielding, you can tell that you have experience with lots of this. So your wording on yielding and the breath, everything felt very, I could feel your depth of your own practice. Then our movements, you added something I didn't teach, which was very nice. I'm going to adopt that. You did going into the pose, and then you told them to pause. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
And you told them to find the back breath and everything. Before they even start to move, you just guide them to go and
Yeah,
then
like
to
that,
pause. And I really liked it. I really felt like you were guiding them to go into space where they would have to learn how to yield, but you actually stopped them and you told them to yield. Kind of you froze them in a moment and then get them so great. Eyes, you missed the eyes.
Did I?
Missed the eyes in the beginning
so?
for a long time. Later on you talked about eyes so much, but in the very beginning, in cueing the arm movement, missed the eyes. Lots of them had eyes closed. In the beginning.
I remember telling them to.
Yeah, later you had great connections with eyes. I'm just saying beginning is the most
practice.
important. Beginning is just the
Yeah.
most important, yeah. Oh, later on, yeah, with our book. I'm just talking this.
About this part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just, I was, when
That's
I
like-
did on myself,
Mhm.
I can't keep my eye when I do that, because then
Yeah.
and it's like, I think I'm gonna just add the eyes later when there is more engagement.
Yeah, that's a good,
Yeah.
good
So
reason.
that's why I thought.
That's a good reason, but you could say eyes are not in, I'm not asking for the eyes to be in the hands the whole time. I'm just saying keep the eyes open and imagine you're reaching for something from the navel, because the reaching part is very important in this one. Otherwise I will do this. Just watch me, because this is very interesting. So people are going like this and very like this. Yeah? And if I open my eyes and you say reach, you see the difference? And then another thing that I noticed, you didn't say straight arms. So almost everybody did this, and then they did this. Did this, and then they did this. So what this limits here is that they're not moving everything. If they have to have a straight arm, they would have to move the head. The whole purpose of this pose, why is this whole pose helpful? It connects you into navel radiation, it brings you into yield and reach, but also it's done for people with strokes who couldn't move their head. So he was tricking the head. He was saying, move your hands, but look what's happening with the head. The head is being moved with you moving the arm, right? So if you just do this, my head is not moving. You see? So that was a big instruction, like keep the elbows straight as you're reaching.
Yeah, so again, the master kind at first,
Pardon?
like showing the pose at first would have.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, same with Sharon.
All
If
of
only
it,
she
yeah.
was standing up, everything will change, because I know she's doing it. I know
Yeah.
she would do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Elbow, head moves in its own. Okay, arm clocks, eyes, great. Okay, so big things here, sequencing. So you gave the sequencing as a navel radiation, which was great. You introduced the navel radiation, but you didn't give the sequencing. When I was teaching this pose, I was, you remember, head, hyoid, or you don't have to say hyoid, manubrium, xiphoid, you can just say head, neck, chest, ribs. So you're just kind of disjointing them by this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. For very, very beginners, maybe you can say navel, feel it moving from the navel, because when you're going out and you're coming back, you're coming from the navel, but when you're going out, you're also coming with the navel. Maybe that could be your first instructions, but as they're getting it, you could say, now go a little bit deeper and move first with your head, with your eyes, and then the throat, and then the chest, and then the ribs. Going back, ribs, chest, throat, head.
Yeah, that's what I felt too, was just a little bit, yeah, I don't know. On the way, it was like follow the same pattern on the way in and the way out, but on the way, it's different, right? It's the reverse.
It's the reverse, yeah. I mean, you gave them simpler language, but just because we learned this, we were paying attention. You could have added. It would be helpful to add because you would release their necks, you would help them open their spine, and you will repattern their twisting. That's the whole purpose of this pose, because you're repatterning them twisting. Remember how I was saying lumbar spine only twists 3%, thoracic spine 60, and cervical 90. So by you separating those 3 parts of spine, you're actually repatterning them. So that was
I like that one too.
Yeah, I love it.
yeah, it's a very complicated book. What you're learning, by the way, it's very complicated. You would not learn this in a regular restorative class. This is a therapeutic restorative class. So I think you'll be very much than average in terms of what you know. So I don't have a doubt that you will apply that. So transition, you have a nice comparison. So when they were doing this side and then you set them onto the back, nice comparison. But if I am on time, and I'm always on time because you only have hour and a half, there is no need for you to do something in the transition. Just for them to say, you're now in transition, notice the difference between your left and your right side. They are noticing because one side is way more open. But then you took it further in the transition. So you took already out of your time. So you were doing this and this. No purpose, because they're doing it.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. So you just repeated something, didn't have to be there. So because you were already out of time. Yeah, and another thing, just instruction, and this is more me as a second language and yours as a second language. It's better to say something do rather than don't. And it's better to say move your foot in this direction rather than to say I want you to move the foot in this direction. Just the semantics of it. Yeah, and then don't do that. It's good to say it once, but I think you said it maybe 4 times or 5 times, which felt a lot
The
for
same thing or just
same. Just don't do the don't go yet, don't go yet,
Yeah.
don't go yet. So that was maybe repeated about 4 times because you don't. But it's they're in such state of mind in the parasympathetic system that when you say it once is totally fine, and then you can say don't go yet into the pose. But when you establish this, go slowly. You could have said that, for example. Because don't go yet, and you saying, it's like, imagine the baby who's having a food, about to eat, and just looking, and you say, don't go yet, okay, don't go yet, but don't go yet, and then there's a tension.
Yeah.
Like, what does she want me here? Don't
And
go
then
yet.
don't go yet again. I want to go.
They don't even know where they're going, you told them not to go.
The fun thing is, like I said, don't go yet, and I always see someone going, it's like, not someone's moving, like, but there's always something like that.
If that's the
I like
case,
to use that game,
if
but
that's the
probably not
case.
in this moment. But there is something awakening the body when you imagine your body doing instead of going for it. You know what I mean?
So it's the word, it's
So-
your choice of word.
Yeah, so it was a little bit too much.
You were able
It's just too much, but I can see the reason why you did it,
Yeah.
because somebody else was still moving, but you are a person in charge, so you come to that person and say, just pause for a second. just quietly, just pause a second, and then guide the group,
Yeah.
right? Because otherwise, if you tell everybody what one person is doing, the ones that doesn't do anything will go. Will totally freeze.
Did I move?
Very nice gathering coming out. Eyes are looking, and I love the eyes looking at the whole room. I'm gonna adopt
Yeah,
that
I
too.
know. And I love that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That was lovely because you gave them into this complete open space, and then you got them to actually watch with their peripheral vision everything.
So,
And that is very embryonic because our eyes as embryo were here. So you were basically telling them, you were guiding them into Vyana Vayu.
yes.
That's what you did.
So
You
one-
guide them into opening of everything.
I loved it too, but I wasn't sure at first if we had to move our eyes enough. I was for a moment confused when we were here, and you said look at the whole room, and I'm like, do I move my eyes?
Oh,
I don't know.
because
I
it's
know
like-
what he
it's
said,
like don't
it's
move
not
your head.
focus or something.
Yeah, don't focus on anything, like just,
Yeah. She
don't move
said
your
don't
head,
focus,
but
but
it
it
Maybe
say
it's
the
I
other
don't
one.
know, but for me, if you had said,
Uh-huh.
don't move your eyes, don't focus on anything,
Yeah.
open it. Because I wasn't sure. I was like,
You know,
That's why you look at me and then you look and then it's
yeah. That's a very good thing because that's going to happen for
Yeah,
sure.
I was-
So instead of better cue for this is, and again the language, the semantics, it's saying seeing instead of looking.
Oh, yeah.
see the
Practice
whole
of
room. Yeah,
see
yeah.
instead of looking. So there's no focus,
Yeah,
there's just
yeah.
seeing instead of looking. And sometimes even saying, tune into your peripheral vision. You can see the whole room.
Yeah.
Because if you give direction, look at the whole room,
Yeah.
there is a little bit of masculine looking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what you were.
Yeah.
And if you say seeing, it's more feminine. It's like you're not going anywhere,
Mhm.
you're just there.
Yeah.
Nice. Very
That's
good
nice.
feedback. Okay, Marianne. I thought I even put down nice order of the poses, and then you skipped the pose. I didn't even do it. You were the one on time, which was great. Same thing. Same thing is not showing the pose. So the most important is, of course, the voice. You prepping your space, your practice. You have to prepare with your practice, but then prepping the space. Prepping the space meaning that you need to bring. You need to tell them. Okay, so we're going to use today 2 bolsters, 2 blocks, strap, a blanket, and maybe a sandbag. So bring everything with you. You can say that. And then you can say, let me show with Luciana how are we going to get into this pose. And so that would be the beginning, right? So that was missing. That was missing.
Transition.
Not transition, prepping the space.
Oh, prepping this
Prepping the space was missing. And I think you would do better if you prep the space. I think you would do better if you prep the space. The pose, however, that you showed, it's not the Baddha Konasana. You made up something different. And I'll show you why.
No signal, it says.
Huh?
Your computer's not even on. Your computer.
Okay, well then, that's I'm not gonna even watch it now. Okay, so what did you do? This is the butterfly pose. If you look at the pose, you will know. But you here. So you know where the people need to go, and you can even say that. Why don't you tell them to apply everything? They can apply everything on the floor. You don't have to come around later and add things. Just say 2 blanket on the side for your thing, and then.
I was nervous.
Yeah, nervous, but I understand you're nervous, but you were missing stuff.
Yeah.
Don't blame your fear on anything, okay? Because if you say, I'm afraid, I'm just nervous, practice, and that's how you get out of it. That's not excuse, okay? I understand, we're all nervous. Seriously, I'm still nervous after 20
Yeah.
years of teaching,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Still nervous.
Yes.
But I
That's
can't,
the-
if I'm prepared, if I'm prepared,
Yeah, it comes.
it comes.
Yeah.
So preparedness, and then you can get rid of stuff if you prepare. So first and foremost, height.
Yeah, so there was 2 goals.
So you didn't give them a height. That's number one that you didn't do. You didn't give them a height. So this is not nervousness. This is not preparing. Second thing you did, you told them to sit on it, which is not the pose. So this is something different. It wasn't bad, but it's different. And I'm not sure how good that was for Sharon and for
It's hard on my low back.
yeah, hard on their low backs.
My low back after that.
Because you were putting them in a position where their ribs were already popping. You were not taking care of their masses, right? Because you were not in the pose. So this is what you were saying. And while, but it was so confusing because, I mean, imagine this, you're not showing how to do something so complicated and you are doing it yourself while they were doing it. So do you want them to look at you while you were doing it, or do you want to do them with you? If you do them with you, they cannot see what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's way too complicated to. And then they had to ask you, do we sit on it? I think Sharon said, do we sit on it? And you said yes. And I was like, oh, you know, but okay, you know, so this is what you did. And then they were like this, and then you were running around like crazy because you had to add all their props, right? They were adding this, they were adding that, and then you put them in this position, open the feet,
Oh, yeah, that's.
right? So this is very, very, very hard without any support. I think just if you learn how to do it all in a sequence, it would be, people would not feel safe in this position. First of all, my head is way too low. This has to be kind of like a waterfall back. Like, this has to be even 2 of these blocks, like
with a
or a bolster, right?
Yeah.
So you're sitting in front. I'm not going to teach you how to get into the pose because you should know this. It's everywhere what we did, right? So going into the pose, going down here, and then having already something underneath of the knees where they can open. If this is too high, if their lower back is not okay, you're adding a block underneath of it. So something to support there, right? So that's already ease. I can be here quite a long time. And you had a good cue. You came and you added this, but the way how you did it, listen, the way how you did it is you came to somebody and you told them, lift your arm.
I'm supposed to move it and touch.
You're supposed to move it. And how? You're supposed to hold the wrist and the elbow. Right? You're learning how to be very attentive one-on-one. So you can't just, they go in a return pose and then lift their arm, right? And then you would put one blanket like this and you would leave them. You would go to another person. So imagine me sitting down with one blanket and I was like, what the heck is going now on this blanket down? Like it creates the sense of complete insecurity. I'm not sure, what should I do right now? It's total confusion.
Okay.
Right? So you have to prepare everything so that there is a less confusion. So you can, if you want to, you can put this blanket here. This blanket, you can, I can prepare this before the person even goes into the pose, right? Before they go into the pose. Always give more support rather than less support. And you can say, you can have a seat on the block. Nice. Slowly come down, one vertebra at a time with your head last. Put the arms on the blanket and find a support for your knees. Maybe they need to be higher, that's okay. And if you try to take away, and if that feels good, stay like that. Otherwise, keep the support, right? So you're guiding them to be with more props. Then another thing, you did something that was totally out of, I actually started chickling and laughing, so I hope you didn't hear me. You came to Barb and you said, take your socks off.
What? Take your socks off?
Yeah, take your socks off. And the Barb was like,
What?
what?
I heard that.
Because I wanted them to have that skin-to-skin touch.
Which was
It's
nice, but
yoga.
this is not a yoga instruction, right? She was,
Yeah,
that
and
was
she's
hilarious.
going, oh, huh? And,
That
and she
was
did
hilarious.
right away, she's going, oh, you want me to take off my, you were
Yeah.
laughing on that.
I was laughing on that one, but it could have been not laughing. If somebody has trauma and you come into that space,
Yeah.
it's like telling somebody take your shirt off, right?
Yeah.
You can't. It's just they come in their sweater if they want to, in their
Maybe
socks,
it's-
and
Or
everything
they
Maybe
might
I
have
should say
something
that-
on their feet that they don't
Yeah.
want people to
to
see.
see.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe I
so-
should have said that if you feel comfortable, you can remove
Or
the
maybe you can
socks.
just say why, like, I'd like you to connect the touch of the skin on your feet, so
Yeah.
if you wanna take a shower. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I should have said.
And not, and you could do it maybe a general, like you, not specific.
Notice at
Not
the beginning of
specific.
the class
Or I can just
too.
say that, please,
In
if you have
general.
your socks on, please remove your socks.
No,
No.
no please
No.
and no
No, no,
remove,
no,
Oh, yeah,
nothing.
that's right, yes.
Unless it's his instruction, then you can
Yeah.
say remove this or do this. But if it's something you think that they can benefit better from, you can say, if you'd like to have a direct contact with the soles of the feet, which is really love to have that with barefoot, you can take your socks off. But you're right, Sharon.